The Messenger, bringing horror to life. 1.
This story is Spirits by Plastic Reflections 40 on No Sleep on Reddit. I never believed in spirits until now. I, 29 male, grew up in Florida in different parts for different spans of my life. Until recently, living there was all I knew. We would vacation to other tourist destinations in Florida for summer breaks. Our family was always beach-bound bums, although I usually ended up just reading a book on the hotel balcony, watching in the cool shade so I didn't cook in the sun. We might take a haunted ghost tour while at St. Augustine or enjoy a museum or church, but I never believed in all that spooky ghost stuff. It was creepy, sure, but I never saw anything with my own eyes, and to me, seeing is believing when it comes to all that kind of stuff. Anyways, like I said before, I no longer live in Florida and recently took residence in North Georgia, close to the Appalachian Mountains. It's a big change from sunshine all day to cold and ice in real seasons. When I moved, I brought my dog Bubba, a cattle dog, with me to my new place. For a little context, Bubba is trained and doesn't really react to storms or fireworks or noises outside that usually make a dog freak out. He doesn't. Well, to get to it, recently Bubba has been really reacting to storms that have been rolling through the mountains in the spring. The rain would start, Bubba would be barking at the window, and the first strike of lightning, he would jump into my bed and put his back to me, with all his hair standing up on the back of his neck to the base of his tail. And when the first clap of thunder would rattle, he would do this low growl, snarling, and really all of his teeth would be bare, and he would be staring at the bedroom door. First time I chalked it up to the new place and moving, still being stressful on him. I tried to calm him, but he didn't stop growling until the thunder rolled slowly away, and the last bits of rain pittered down the gutters. The next few days went by without any incident. Another storm came, and I got home just as the rain began coming down in buckets. Bubba didn't greet me at the door like he usually, and I went upstairs to find him standing at the top of the landing staring at my bedroom door, growling and all his hair raised. I tried to get him to calm down and come down the stairs, but he only took a step forward before a loud thunderclap shook the house and Bubba went ballistic. My door swung open and he ran barking like a lunatic at the open door frame and stood in there barking his head off. I was a little frightened, I'm not going to lie. It was like something you see in a horror movie. But I just swallowed and went to get Bubba and closed the door. I took him for a drive with me and waited for the storm to calm down. The whole time in the car, he slept in the back seat like there was nothing wrong. The next week went by without any storms and no incidents with Bubba. This brings me to yesterday. I raced home from work trying to beat a storm cloud before they unleashed whatever hell I was about to endure this time. I got home and barricaded myself in my room with food and water for him while we weathered the storm together. Like clockwork though, Bubba was snarling and barking at the door while he stood at the edge of the bed as the thunder and lightning began. I tried to calm Bubba down, but he just wouldn't stop. The lightning struck and I counted waiting for the thunder. I didn't have to wait very long. Bubba jumped off the bed as the door swung open again. I saw a hand retract away from the knob. I jumped as Bubba ran out the door after whoever it was that just did that. I snapped out of it and saw nothing, no one. I didn't hear anyone racing down the stairs. No one has hiding on the first floor. It was freaking terrifying. And this morning I woke up hearing voices downstairs. To clarify, I live alone in a standalone cabin with 2 bedrooms upstairs and a living space and kitchen downstairs. I couldn't make out what was being said, but they were loud and angry. When Bubba woke up, he was immediately on edge again, fur raised and growling and snarling. I went to the door and opened it. Bubba flew down the stairs with me behind him. I thought if those people want to break in, then let them get bit. But there was no one there when I got downstairs. It's been a couple of hours now, and someone is knocking on my front door and won't say anything when I ask who is there, and I'm really starting to panic. But they just asked me to open the door, and they used my name. Bubba keeps going crazy, and I don't know what to do.
2. Haunted House by Hardrail on Reddit. When I was young, in the 60s, I lived in an old house built before the Civil War. It was up in Oldham County, Kentucky, in an area known as the Devil's Backbone. On Dukins Road, when I was 12, I had an encounter I won't forget. One night, I was unable to sleep, laying on my side, when I got very uncomfortable feeling. I turned on my back and saw a young man with dark hair and a mustache staring at me from a foot away from my bed. He was wearing clothes from the 1800s. I looked at him for a while before I lost my nerve and ducked underneath the covers. When I looked back up, he was gone. Several weeks later, I was upstairs in my brother's room, being the only one home. Suddenly, I heard someone run up the stairs very loudly to the door. I opened it only to find a cold breeze. I left the house till everyone else got home. Sometimes later, I was in town with my dad. We met an old man, and he said he lived in the house when he was a boy. He said the house was haunted, and that a young musician had hung himself from the second-story window. That was my brother's room. 3. Haunted Church by Johnny the Ogre. My name is John, and this is what happened when I was 10 or 11 years old. It would be around 1978 or 1979, while I was younger, and I was involved with the church. This happened one Sunday morning when I was helping set up for Mass. I was the only one when I hear a loud bang from the choir on the other end of the building. Curious, I stepped out from where I was and cried out, "Hello?" There was no answer, so I figured that the person didn't hear me, or was just doing what they needed to do. I was looking up towards the choir left to see if I could see the person, and there was no one there. I figured that something had just fallen down, and the noise was just echoed through the church. I was just trying to come up with an idea to rationalize what I had just heard. Right then and there, I had a feeling that I wasn't alone. Normally, I wouldn't have minded because I just figured that the organist came in early and to get ready. But this was different. I had this uneasy feeling that not only was my life in jeopardy, but my soul. It was a fear that I had never felt before or since. As I was looking up at the chorus left, I couldn't see anyone, yet I could sense that there was some thing up there. Then it appeared to me. It was a shapeless, formless figure, and it was extruding or giving off this just evil that just penetrated through me, like a sound would at a concert if you were standing too close to the amps. What I felt went away beyond the fight or flight reaction people talk about. When faced with a situation like this, I was frozen there, beyond scared, and my mind didn't process things for a few seconds. Then all of a sudden, I guess my mind snapped back to reality, and I just ran and took off out of the church. And I stayed out of there until I saw the priest come out of the rectory, and I started going over to the church. I didn't realize how far I'd ran until I started walking back to the church. I'd ran about 100 or 150 feet from the church. When the priest had seen me, fully dressed, to take part in the Mass, and seen how freaked out I was, he asked me what had happened. I told him what I saw and felt. He tried to reassure me that it was probably just my imagination, or it was an old church, that it might have just been something falling, or something mechanical. The thing is, I've been in this building long enough to know the sounds of the mechanical devices when they kick on or off. Another thing, that is, I know that my imagination wouldn't give me that life-threatening feeling, or being able to tell that there was something giving off such an evil that reverberated through me. I've always been a skeptical person ever since I was this age. and only that I never let my mind get the better of me. I never lost my faith in God. And I feel that this one was some kind of evil spirit or demon. And since that day, whenever I went into that church, I always made sure that there was someone else there so that I wouldn't have to come across that thing again. This would be the first time that I came across something like this. But then again, that's a story for another time. It's because of this situation that I became curious about the paranormal. And yet, I still try to rationalize everything when dealing with a situation like this. I believe that saying, if you rule out the probability, all that remains, however improbable, must be possible. And that's where our tale comes to an end, for now. Did the shadows of the story linger in your mind, or did they vanish with the dawn? Remember, darkness isn't always about what you can see. It's also about what you can't. If you enjoyed the chill down your spine, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more eerie tales that will haunt you. Until next time, keep your lights on and your doors locked. And sweet dreams, or rather, nightmares. I'll see you in the shadows. And remember, don't shoot the messenger.